What's up, amigos? I hope everyone is having a wonderful day today. In today's video, we have my poison PvP build and some high octane gameplay at the end. It's absolutely riveting. You don't want to miss out on that. Just like you don't want to miss out on that thumbs up button, go ahead and like this video. It helps me out a ton. Subscribe too for more future content. So without further ado, let's hop into the video and go over our gear first. So my gear is definitely not fully optimized, all right? I wanted to whip this up, show everybody how I've been PvPing. It's going to take a lot to fully optimize PvP gear. One of the main stats that people are stacking is dodge. I am not that sweaty. I'm not that sweaty. I'm not going to sit here and put together a full dodge set. That'll take forever. And I want to enjoy other aspects of the game. But honestly, listen, PvP in Diablo 4 is extremely unbalanced. But that doesn't mean it's not fun. I've actually been enjoying myself. It's definitely adrenaline pumping, and you know, it is upsetting at times. But let's be honest, we live in a day and age where if you aren't getting mad at video games like an absolute child, you are the weird one, okay? One of the biggest issues is level gaps and the inability to crowd control targets who are a certain amount of levels above you. It is hands down the most frustrating thing to deal with. I am level 83 and stand absolutely no chance against someone who's level 100. Not only do they have clear scaling on me, but again, the inability to CC makes it near impossible to deal with. So, the gear. Now that I absolutely turned everybody away from the PvP, again, guys, it's fun. Don't get me wrong, alright? When you get into a good fight, it is fun. But the gear, helmet. We are running a helmet with +4 ranks of poison imbue, armor, max life, cooldown reduction with the might aspect to give us damage reduction when we spam our basic attacks. We are running chest of the disobedience for armor stacking. Again, life, armor, this time damage reduction from close enemies. The cutthroat skill damage doesn't really matter. Damage stacking doesn't really matter in PvP. I just want to throw that out there, let everybody know. Edge Masters. These have +4 ranks of twisting blades, crit strike chance. I highly recommend, which I've just been too lazy to go and dig through my 100 items in my stash, but I highly recommend the trifectas, which is crit strike chance, attack speed, and ranks 2 twisting blades. If you have those, use those. This is also something that I feel like just does not matter. Edge Masters really isn't that useful with this build because we don't have a lot of resource generation in the build. We are not heavy on it at all. Just the way that the gameplay is in PvP, a lot of the times I'm not around mobs to generate more resource, so we don't really have a full use out of Edge Master. I've actually been thinking about re-rolling to the toxic one that gives me a chance to proc a toxic pool, and once you stand in that pool, your poison imbue has no cooldown. Moving on though, legs. Now I'm running cheats here. I actually enjoy the 22% less damage from crowd controlled enemies because we run Penitent Greaves, and we have a lot of CC built in. A lot. So as soon as we jump on a target, they are immediately CC'd. Again, unless they're level 100 or higher level, then we can't CC them at all. Blizzard, fix that, please. But the pants itself, they have max life, damage reduction from distant enemies, damage reduction, and a worthless stat is damage after 4 seconds after killing an elite. In a perfect world, which I am not a part of, I have not found pants to even try to replace these for PvP. In a perfect world, you want imbuement skill cooldown reduction, along with other 3 defensive affixes. Boots, like I said, we run the Penitent Greaves. These are just your BIS. They're BIS for PvE, they're BIS for PvP. The evade grants movement speed, that's a lot of movement speed. It gives you a lot of opportunity to reset, gap close, whatever it may be. And of course, we leave behind the Trail of Frost that chills enemies, we deal more damage to chilled enemies, etc. These boots are BIS. We run our crossbow stat stick. Again, this is just a stat stick like usual. We run the twist and blade dancer aspect on it. We are looking for damage to close enemies, vulnerable damage. I have on here the double crit strike with imbued dex. The dex actually isn't bad when it comes to scaling in PvP. It gives just raw skill damage. It's actually pretty good in PvP, surprisingly. The thing that isn't that great about this crossbow in PvP is the crit strike damage with imbued skills, because we don't really care about that we would much rather have something like close damage or extra vuln. And the same thing applies to our melee weapons as well. Speaking about melee weapons, we are running combo points, so we still run the Condemnation. This gives us a core damage increase and the chance just to, the 30% chance to generate 3 combo points every basic attack. Our sword of choice that we use is of the Expectant. This has close, crowd, vuln, and crit strike damage. If you've watched my other guides, you know how much I love this sword. I honestly don't think I'll ever replace it. This is pretty good because, again, we're going to constantly be spamming our basic skill, just like in our normal PvE builds for combo points, for damage reduction, for whatever. In this case, it's stacking up our damage and stacking up the 30% extra. Rings 1 and 2. For rings, you definitely want damage to close, vulnerable, crit strike damage, crit chance. But I highly recommend substituting one of the 4 offensive affixes for max life in PvP. For ring number 1, we have Accelerating Loop, which gives us attack speed with our core skills. It gives us attack speed when we crit with our core skills. And ring number 2, this is actually pretty important, the Loop of Corruption. Imbuement skill effects have a 20 to 40% increased potency against vulnerable enemies, meaning our poison will have a 40% extra potency. I don't know what the raw numbers are. If that's just a 40% increased damage, who knows? If someone has the nitty gritty math, go ahead and drop it in the comments down below, because I would personally love to know the finer detailing of this aspect. And for our amulet, again, if you've been following my other builds, you would know that I haven't found an amulet that comes close to that. I actually found this one. This one had plus ranks of Deadly Venom, which gives us more poison damage. It also had a rank to all imbuement skills and imbuement skill damage. So I was pretty intrigued. I've been trying this out. I don't know yet. I can't really make the decision if it's better, but I want to say it is. It's just overall way more poison damage and gives us another rank to imbue. Our imbue skills are 10. I think we have plus 10 ranks to poison right now. And of course, I rolled the cooldown reduction. And it's Ravagers. Ravagers is definitely one of the most, if not the most important aspect in the entire build. This gives us a second charge to Shadow Step. Now, a second charge to Shadow Step is incredibly useful, especially in situations where you are outnumbered. Remember, rogues, Shadow Step is your only source of unstoppable, which breaks crowd controls and makes you immune to them for a short duration. If you are stunned, knocked down, etc., you can't pop Shadow Step on a target. You have to use it on a target to break out of that said stun, knockdown, whatever. So in PvP, you can imagine this is extremely useful. I also use it, since I know I have 2 charges, to engage with a stun, try to hit him with my initial trap and poison combo. So let's go ahead and take a look at the skill tree. We take Puncture, Enhanced, and Fundamental. Fundamental is still nice for when players try to reset. You can still keep vulnerability up from a distance. Twisting Blades. We actually run Enhanced to improve Twisting Blades instead of the Advanced, because cooldowns are only useful if we have more enemies that the blades pass through. So a lot of situations, there's no enemies around. So improved Twisting Blades will actually daze the enemies while they're impaled with Twisting Blades. 3-point Sturdy, close damage reduction. 3-point Siphoning, extremely important. Heals for 3% of our max life when we crit. Of course, Shadow Step, we go to Methodical Shadow Step. This stuns enemies that are damaged by Shadow Step. Again, I use this for initiating a fight. We take 3 points in the Weapon Mastery, of course. We benefit from daggers and swords. The point into Dash, Enhanced Dash for the extra crit strike damage when they're damaged by Dash. And of course, Discipline Dash that slows, and if they're already slow, we daze them. We take 1 point in the Concussive, which gives us a crit strike chance when knocking down enemies. And when we critically strike a dazed enemy, they are also knocked down for 0.5 seconds, so 1 point in the trick attacks. We take a point into Poison Trap. We take a point into Enhanced Poison Trap, which knocks down enemies who are caught inside the trap. And we take Countering to help reset our imbuement skill cooldowns when activated. 3 points in the Exploit, increase damage to healthy and injured. 3 points in the Malice, more damage to vulnerable. Of course, we run max poison imbuement. Again, we have 10 ranks in here. We then take enhanced poison imbuement, into blended poison imbuement. Critical strikes with poison imbued skills deal 75% increased poison and damage. 3 points in the precision imbuement, more crit strike chance with imbued skills. We have 6 points in here. This is the deadly venom, the +3 that we have on the amulet. Normally we would have +9% increased poison damage. This gives us 18%. And then we run 2 points into Frigid Finesse because we are chilling with our Penitent Greaves. 1 point into Innervation. It is worth noting, I do not have all of my skill points because I am lazy and don't have extra time ever. This is where I would slam the last 2 points, by the way. So this would be maxed out because we do have a lot of problems with energy. So yeah, this will give us a 30% lucky hit chance to gain 8 energy per hit. 3 points in the Trap Mastery, which gives us 12% increased crit against vulnerable and crowd controlled enemies when a poison trap is active. And then for our Keystone passive, we are running Exposure, which primarily for the chance to reduce our active cooldowns of your trap skill by 20%. More poison traps, more knockdown potential, more resets on our poison imbuement. So real quick, I'm gonna just show everybody the Paragon board. The link to the Paragon and the whole build will be in the description down below. This is where I want to take less time than my other build, but I do want to show everyone the rare nodes. So first board, we take the Prime node. We stay away from the Resilience node. We don't care about the Resist All, even though it's 4% max life. I do not care about this side. We go up, we have a fully leveled Closer glyph. This is fully, well, not fully leveled, but it's level 15 to increase the radius. We have 65 dex in the radius. That's how we get the 65% cutthroat. We have both Skillful for damage, and we have Lawless for armor. We then go up the Lawless side. First board of choice is Cunning Stratagem. We ignore this legendary node, it's worthless. For the glyph of this, we want Exploit in here. This allows us to inflict vulnerable on anything that we hit and gives us extra vulnerable damage when we have the allocated strength inside, or per allocated strength inside. We take Finisher for core damage, we take Dominant for core damage, we take Lawless for armor, and Slayer for more armor. Third board of choice, we are going with Cheap Shot. Again, ignore this. We're not here for the legendary node. We're here for the rare nodes. First rare node is damage to crowd controlled enemies and crit strike damage to crowd controlled enemies. Again, we have so much crowd control in our build. We come down here to Devious, which is next to one of the 2 rare nodes next to the glyph. More damage to crowd control. And then Wiles, damage reduction from slowed enemies. We actually choose to go with Bane for the glyph of this board. This allows us to do more poison damage, and the bonus is poison damage effects have a 10% chance to deal double the amount of damage over their duration. We take Spearhead, damage to healthy enemies, and extra armor. And then our fourth board of choice would be our tricks. Our fourth board of choice will be Deadly Ambush. We will eventually make our way down to this node. It'll give us 23% extra crit strike damage to enemies affected by our trap skills. We also take a couple rare nodes like Engineering. Engineering says damage to enemies affected by trap skills 10%. Now enemies affected by trap skills, since poison, we are running Poison Trap. Once we initially poison an enemy and stack more poison, the trap is still in effect, which means until that poison wears off, we still get this damage increase. Just like here with Cunning, we will get the damage reduction because again, the poison hasn't worn off, we stack the duration. And for the last glyph in this board, we will stock it in Turf. This gives us more close damage reduction, and then the bonus is damage reduction against close enemies. And that's it for the build. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope everybody has fun PvPing. I will throw in some footage of me PvPing. Some of it was taken on stream today, actually, over at twitch.tv/fluffyamigos YT. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and until next time, amigos, take care.